There was one star who we know is amazing, but who David Griffin, his former, I guess you'd call him a boss, even though I don't think he was really his boss. It might have been the other way around. Said today, it was on ESPN. He said a quote that is interesting. He said, everything we did, this is about building a team around LeBron James. This is David Griffin, now the vice president of basketball operations for the New Orleans Pelicans. Everything we did was so inorganic and unsustainable and, frankly, not fun. I was miserable. He goes on to say, literally, the moment we won the championship, I knew I was going to leave. There was no way I was going to stay for any amount of money. This is a guy who just won a championship, who, while, yes, it's hard to deal with LeBron James, the owners and execs gave players this power. I get that it's hard and it's miserable to work in this construct that they created, but should he be griping like this?
I mean, not if he wants to keep that ring. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, I mean, LeBron got you the ring. Now, we know, look, everybody knows LeBron comes with that.
Of course.
Right? I mean,
but they created it. You know what I mean? They gave them the power to do deals like he did.
You did not have to bring them back, but you brought him back because you wanted the ring.
But you had to bring him back, didn't you? If he wanted to come back in your Cleveland, you had to bring him. But can you imagine? Hey, Dave, and I'm forgetting the owner now, Dan Gilbert. Hey, I want to come back. No, we don't want you, LeBron. Sorry, I know you won championships, but we don't want you.
But to your point, you know what's coming with it, right? Now, maybe not to the extent, because, with the coaching and Kyrie and all that garbage that went on.
Yeah.
Running people in and out of town, people not wanting to play there, the whole deal. But you kind of knew what was happening and what was going to happen. So, a couple years later to do this, I think this is a little bit more, in all honesty, more him being pissed off that his other star just
Anthony
walked.
Davis.
Right,
Yeah.
just walked and said, listen, I'm going to play with LeBron.
Yeah, so there has to be an agenda here. There has to be, because David Griffin's been around long enough. And we talked to him on this show multiple times when he was an analyst. Who was he working for? Fox? NBA TV, that's right. He's working for NBA TV. He was great as an analyst because he knows the inside and outsides of contracts and, how to build. Like, he knows how to build a team, even under the particularly difficult circumstances that he had to do in Cleveland. He built a winner, and it was rough. But he had to have known, being on the Cleveland side with all that followed, then being in the media, that this was going to have some effects. This was going to have legs. And maybe he's issuing a warning to L.A., right? Maybe he's just taking a shot at Anthony Davis because he jettisoned and left the Pelicans to go to Los Angeles. But I'm trying to figure out, like, what does he gain by doing this, David Griffin? Because, honestly, I would have... I think the quick and easy response is, yeah, good for him. LeBron's a pain in the ass. We all like to jump on King James. Man, he's all about him. It's his world. Nobody else matters. But he's a businessman, LeBron. He wants to win championships. You're going to give him power to control a roster and to sign one-year deals and bounce after 1 year every year. I mean, that's basically the gist of this. Is it because LeBron held them hostage to 1-and-1 contracts? They were under the threat of losing him every single year. It's hard to work that way, but they give him that power. I don't blame LeBron. You can't blame LeBron.
Not fun, and I was miserable. I'm going to tell you this. It wasn't any better this year with Davis. Yeah. He was not, he held him hostage, too.
It's true.
Listen, this is where...
But that wasn't necessarily his
But this is how the
problem.
game. This is how the game's going. The players are getting a lot more control.
Yeah.
Right? And they can command different things. And this is it. This is just the way it is right now. The players are controlling the game. They could contracts don't... What do contracts mean?
Nothing
Right?
at all.
Nothing.
If you can demand a trade or not play or whatever, like Anthony Davis did, with 2 years left on your deal, of course they don't mean anything. The question is, it's out of the bottle now, right? There's no, you're not, maybe you can, or maybe that's the question. Like, can the owners and the general managers and the executives, can they go back? You know what? Can it turn back so that they do have a little bit of control over what's going on? And I think the answer is no.
Agreed. No.
And the question is, do we want that even?
No. And I think when you go and you make statements like this, you just better be prepared for LeBron to throw 50 down at the Smoothie Center or whatever it's called, and Anthony Davis might throw 50 also. When's the last time to have two guys scored 50 points in a game? I mean, it might happen.
I don't know. Samson, can you find?
I mean, they have nobody else, so they're going to have to do all the scoring
the
anyway.
Smoothie King Center, yes, is what it is. Has anybody scored 50? Two guys 50 in one game? I mean, the Golden State Warriors. No, same team. Has anybody on the same team scored 50 in one game together? Can you imagine?
This is going to be on the bulletin board in that locker room that day, and they are going to do it.
I mean, this is like harsh. It's loud, and it comes on the heels of Zion Williamson saying, I think it was 2 days ago, that he wants to play his whole career in New Orleans. And I think given the circumstances that are there, like all of the assets that they got from the Lakers and what the roster looks like right now, they should be pretty viable in a couple of years. So it makes sense that Zion Williamson says, I want to stay. But if you start hearing, I don't know, your vice president saying things like taking a serious shot at one of the greatest players ever, if you're Zion Williamson, aren't you scratching your head a little bit?
Well, first I think Zion making that statement was brilliant. Right? Brilliant. He coming off the draft, people were already saying he's gone.
Yeah.
So brilliant PR move on his part to make that point.
He's not a Rock Nation guy, right?
No.
All right. So just making sure it wasn't a biased response you were giving.
Not biased at all. This is I don't know him, never met him, but just a smart move to just calm a fan base down and know, like, I'm here. I want to work. I want to come and listen. New Orleans is a great city. You could be in a lot worse, right? But. Is it a message to a guy like Zion for him to say that, or Zion step back and go, wait a minute, what's happening here?
I mean, if I'm Zion, I would. Because I know he's not talking about me. I think he's just giving perspective. But so many of us, and we had a question in inbounds and out of bounds, Ron, this is like, people are going to compare, naturally, Zion to LeBron. Because LeBron came in, he was physically just, like, aggressive in a way that we hadn't seen. And then as he got a little bit older and he grew physically dominant, I mean, it was like he was playing football, playing basketball. I remember just like sticking his shoulder into people and going to the rim. And who's going to stop him? Who's going to get in the way? And he's 6'8", he can handle the ball. I mean, nobody could guard him. Zion is significantly more powerful. Now, Zion seems like he's gentler, I guess, is the best way to put it. There's no agenda yet. But if I'm Zion, I'm worried. I would be worried that, as I grow older, maybe David Griffin has a problem with me if I have, input that I want to put into this team. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. But you know what? If it comes down to Zion and David Griffin staying there, one of them will be out, and it's not going to be Zion.
Yeah. True.
That's the fact. That's the game. That's today.
How quickly do you think they turn into a contender? Because Zion, I mean, he's being flippant. He's being eager. He's being a 19-year-old. He's like, hey, we can win this year if we get right. That's not happening. But how quickly do they turn into a contender? I mean, they have some pieces. They really do.
Yeah, I think they have pieces. I mean, the West is so tough, though. I mean, what's a contender?
That's what I mean.
But what's a contender? Do they make the playoffs?
Well, I think they make the playoffs, right?
Can they make the playoffs this year? Probably.
Yeah.
But you're 1 versus 8 and you're out.
But making the playoffs, I think for the Pelicans after the way last season ended is a win.
Listen, making the playoffs, period, is a win.
Yeah. Well, right? I know, but I mean specifically for them, it's a win.
Absolutely.
Because I mean, season ticket holders had to be like running to the exits.
Yeah. Listen, the thing with a guy like Zion and New Orleans is going to be, this is not 30 games, which he didn't even play at Duke.
Yeah.
Right? Can you go through the gamut of 82 games? It's tough. Because, by the way, for them to make the playoffs, he's got to play 82 games.
Yeah, he's got to play 82.
Right, got to play 82.
If they want to have any chance in the postseason.
100%. Has to play 82.
Yeah.
So can his body hold up? And he's going to get banged around a lot.
Of course.
So can he he's not playing, he's not playing the Miamis and the Boston colleges and the small team. He is going to get banged around.
Yeah. And I wonder where he fits. They go small, maybe he plays the 5, but usually he's probably going to be the 3 or the 4. I mean, it's different because the spacing and his athleticism can take over. But it's also, it's like a grown man sport now. It's not a kid sport.
Yeah, I mean, listen, when they play the Sixers and he goes up against Embiid and Horford, that's going to be one of the biggest things he's ever seen going in there. Let's see him bang around in there for a little bit. Now, he doesn't have to do that every night.
Yeah.
For him, which is great, but let's see where he ends up. Look, I'm so excited to watch the guy play. This comes around.
They're must watch.
So few times in the NBA, right? Look, the last time it happened like this is LeBron.
Yeah, and it was also in a smaller market like Cleveland, and we watched all of those games. Right. It was just, I got to see. I want to see what happens. Even if they're bad, I want to see what happens. Very few. This is why the branding question we asked in Inbounds and Out of Bounds was pertinent, because very few athletes make you watch them, even if they're going to be bad.
Yeah, and the NBA is so different than everywhere else because you can brand and market in New Orleans, Oklahoma City. That doesn't happen in Major League Baseball or the NFL, really. It does with quarterbacks, but outside of the quarterback. So in New Orleans, he could be the biggest star in the world.
You're right.
It doesn't matter. You don't have to be in New York. That's why they're not running down to the Garden.
Yeah.
For that and many other reasons. But that's one of the reasons. You don't need to be in New York or LA.
Yeah, and he's already taken advantage of New Orleans, showing up at Saints practice, throwing balls with Drew Brees, and I think he threw one in the net. I got to find that video. I couldn't tell if it went into the net.
But again, whoever's telling him to do it or he's doing it on his own, so smart.
Yeah, you're right.
New Orleans, the Saints run that town.
You're right.
Embed yourself with them. You'll be fine.
Yeah, and he will be. I think he'll be great.